Welcome to the DEC4 podcast. You can access episodes, companion articles, research notes and links, as well as information about our contributors and supporters at DEC4podcast.com. Hope you enjoy the program.
Every morning from 7:30 to 8:30, they open the gates and it's free to walk up to see the gravesite. So now that's free. And like I say, if you're taking a road trip, you haven't stayed at a hotel, you haven't spent a dime, and you can walk up to the grave. Now, this is no small thing. That's a huge thing that they offer that's free. Another interesting thing is the solemnity of that hour. The gates open. There's a guard there that checks your bags, of course. It's quiet and it's very solemn. You walk up. More than once, we've been the first ones up. Okay, walking up the driveway of Graceland, the sun is still sort of rising. There's a mist and a glow to the home. It's dead quiet, and you're walking to the meditation garden. It is an experience for anybody interested in American culture, but for Elvis people in particular. The meditation garden is beautiful. It's well kept. Walking up there to the grave is quite something. People sit, they look. We've sat there. Each time we've gone, we've sat for the whole hour because we can't think of a reason not to. You're allowed to go there and sit. So, of course, you're not traveling all over the grounds, but you're allowed in the meditation garden. You can sit by the pool. You can sit by the grave sites. People will walk up all very quiet, all very solemn. They're pointing, they're leaving things by the gravesite. They're taking pictures. It's quite an experience. So right from the get-go, it's only 8:30 in the morning and it's only, 85 degrees Fahrenheit by that point. So it's still not really hot yet. You've already been up to the gravesite. That is highly recommended. Now in the home, it's like the gravesite and it's like the city itself. The added thing, you can love Elvis all your life, but to go there takes it to the next level. And that's apparent from the porch, in the front door. You're looking, I've taken pictures close up of the walls. It's not a wallpaper, it's a thatched sort of type of wall. And I'm thinking, feel this, it's fascinating. It's an old Southern mansion. Like everyone says, it's not as ostentatious as you'd think, but there's a quiet solemnity just looking at the living room, for example. The music room is beyond, the couch. You get a sense of the living there, the actual living there. You pass by the stairway leading upstairs, right in the front hallway. Now, the upstairs has never been part of tours, and mostly it is for the logistics of getting people up there and around and down. The idea that there's an area of the home you cannot see and add something, cool to the trip, and also kind of solemn and also appropriate, and you're all kind of respectful of that. So you turn into the dining room. It's fascinating again to see, to get a picture of how the home was lived in. The kitchen is next, fascinating. The carpeted kitchen, the fascinating old appliances. A lot of people of a certain era or vintage or age will recognize it maybe from their own childhood because it's 70s things in there. And then, of course, the den or the jungle room is quite something as well. It was built on by Elvis and served as his den. So there is a bit of a window cut in the wall. It's not a window, but it's a hole cut in the wall where the tour I have often paused and just looked into the jungle room. I've just something about looking into it, picturing it being used. There's a big old stereo over there, one of those cabinet-style stereos. The fascinating idea that music was recorded there. The idea that, life was lived in there. People sat in those chairs. That is quite something. The jungle room, I hesitate to call it that because that came later. But the den is a fascinating part of the tour because of its place in Elvis history, but because so much living was done there. It's fascinating. Then you work your way down a hallway. Now, I do have pictures of my hand on the carpet of the jungle room. To think that you're touching these things is so fascinating. Carpeting on the walls and the ceilings in the jungle room. The same carpeting extends to the hallway downstairs. You make your way downstairs, again, narrow stairway downstairs into the TV room where there's the 3 TVs set up. There's that creepy monkey on the table there. There's the bar where sodas were served, and it's pointed out to you, the little hole in the wall where the projector was, where he would show movies or whatever. The idea, And I learned later on, across the walkway from the bar is a door that is another place that you never get into. Well, when I read Jerry Schilling's book, he described it. That was the room where he stayed when he lived there. Then you move into the pool shooting area, the pool room where the pool table is there. The felt is still ripped from one of the nights of shenanigans. It's the Arabian tent-looking place with all the fabric on the wall and the ceiling. I'm touching the chair. You're not really supposed to, but come on. Lay your hand upon one of the chairs. It's just fascinating. Then you're led out the back door. Looking at the backyard is really interesting too. All of the shenanigans that went on there. But I look at, it's the windows of the den, and there's a table and chairs set up there. And I often think of Gladys. I always think of her as poor Gladys. She never lasted long enough to really enjoy. But likely she sat there with some of her kinfolks while Elvis played football or whatever. And I get a kind of a nice feeling. I'm thinking at least the woman maybe sat there a couple times. This beautiful mansion, which was ostentatious to her and Vernon. And perhaps she had a bit of satisfaction. And certainly Elvis had the satisfaction of having provided this home to his mother for a short time. So I often think of that as well when we're out there. There's the building that Vernon had his office in, where Elvis had his press conference when he came home from the Army. A lot of stuff still in there. There's a TV in there that plays that press conference on a loop. That's an interesting place. There's buildings there where I guess they used to cure meat. Meat was hung there, but of course Elvis put a target up there, and it was a bit of a shooting range for him and the boys. You move over to the racquetball room, the racquetball building. The racquetball building is fascinating. We all know that he spent some time there the last night of his life. That's significant. You walk into the racquetball. Now, Elvis just didn't have a court or a racquetball court in a building. Right off the bat, there's a lounge, a place to sit. There's a bar there, a place to sit. This big, beautiful brown leather furniture. There's the piano there where Elvis sang and played Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, the last night of his life. There's the pinball machine there. Now you're thinking this is significant too because this was near the end. I guess there's curtains there where people could be sitting watching the racquetball going on. But they've changed the racquetball building. It displayed all of his awards, his gold records. They had jumpsuits in there and all of his awards on the wall. So it's a tall building, high ceilings. It's a bit of a magnificent thing to look at. You get an idea of the bulk of sales, the units the man moved, and all of these awards on all of these walls. There's normally a video playing of 70s concert footage, which adds a bit of a thing to looking at the jumpsuits. Never Been to Spain is blasting. One of my visits later on, I guess this was after they had built the complex across the street and they moved some of the memorabilia. They stripped it back to just the racquetball court, which was interesting too. There was nothing really to see, but there's the court to look at. So once you get out of there, then you can see horses and the stables and the idea that, again, it was a functioning farm and there was horses there. A lot of the horses are descendants of the original horses. That's nice.
Podcast terms and conditions can be found at our website, DEC4podcast.com. You can contact us there or on our social media. Find us on the major podcasting platforms, and we're also on Substack, Facebook, Tumblr, and Instagram. This has been George Fairbrother. Thanks for listening.
Hi, I'm Steve Collins from the YouTube channel Please Tell Me Where to Go. We have great travel videos and other stuff as well, so go to YouTube. Please tell me where to go. The 2 is the numeral 2, and enjoy a whole bunch of videos.